What we've got here and actually have a plan of action as to how we go forward. Obviously working to take Adam Global to that next level and to develop it in light of where the new normal, as we've used the term ourselves today. Tell you what I want to do is, could I bring in Mohammed and Ray and so on, who just want to give us a presentation on what various findings that they have and various work that they've done, just to help us also with our debate.
Pleased to be here, and the responsibility that's put upon me is to introduce COVID-19 concerns that we have captured from the post-webinar survey. What we've seen is representative of the concerns which we have already heard, including the ambiguity which is created. What's striking is participants' concern about business going back to the domestic. The death of globalization is the term which I have used. The concern surrounds around that. There is issue with the supply chain strength. How do we assess the impact? How do we actually continue with the issue of having the cash flow, even the use of technology? Somebody showed the concern that what will happen when my client closes? On the other hand, what will happen if my supply closes the business? At a macro level, they are also concerned about how the government is actually unplanned or mismanaging the whole scenario. And it is not limited to any country. Across the countries, they are concerned or convinced that it is something which people have actually not really ready for, or not really going forward in a planned manner. The next speaker, Dr. Ray, would have more to discuss from his experience, and we also have Mr. Igor to take you through a very unique, probably one of the solutions that you can look forward to.
What we're finding is, from research that we've done, we're expecting global professional services revenues to be down by around about 20% this year, and it's obviously worse in certain parts of the world. Most of our clients are actually professional services organizations. We're seeing the implications of that on a lot of our clients. It's interesting to note that for ourselves, that any of the work that we get planned for corporates directly through ourselves has all been cancelled, which is a bit disappointing. But the work that we've been doing for professional services organizations has all been accelerated and reorientated to COVID-19. Now, when we came into the year, I think we probably had about 1.5 million's worth of business, which was supposed to start off between March and April, was cancelled or postponed. And I'm sure a lot of other organizations, yourselves, will probably have some of the same issues. Now, what we're finding is that clients themselves are now beginning to look at what they need to do to get back to work. Initially, they were looking for help in terms of how do they put out these fires, and they weren't really engaging with professional services organizations, hoping to deal with the work themselves. And now we're beginning to see them looking at the problems of coming back to whatever this new normal is. We've been fortunate in that we have a consulting methodology which can be used for any type of risk, and we were able to turn it toward the pandemic within about 5 days to have a full service offering. And so our methodologies and tools have been very resilient in that way. And consequently, we've ended up with a pipeline and doing more work than we've actually lost as a result of the pandemic itself, which is quite a relief to myself and my colleagues. And we've been working closely with the team at Adam Global to promote joint services. And effectively, what we have is we've developed a range of services which could be white labeled as for individual firms, or white labeled as Adam Global. We've got lots of sales collateral. We've got opportunities through our own channel partners, who are these large global professional services organizations, and we can provide training, mentoring, advice, etc. So on the next slide, this is just an outline of the methodology framework that we use. Our methodology effectively looks at 3 broad areas: strategy, risk, and public policy, and takes strategy through from, or these 3 areas, from the insight side, understanding what's going on, right the way through to execution. And what we've done is we have augmented our methodologies with technology. And so we provide artificial intelligence is built into it. We've got machine learning, decision support tools, which is integrated into our methodology. But effectively, our methodology is built around three key phases. One is sensing, understanding what's going on in the external environment, whether that's public policy, legislation, trade rules, or whatever, or issues around regulation or legislation. And then we also have tools which help us understand what's going on inside the organization, where we can do data analytics on existing data sets. But more importantly, we have neuroscience tools which allow us understand how employees or how customers are thinking. So, for example, we're putting a bid in for the Irish government to assess, for example, the impact of tourism in Ireland, and we're using the neuroscience and some other tools to understand how others will view the Irish market and whether they'll travel or whether they see it safe or whatever else. And then the second part of what we've got is what we call seizing, and effectively that's our scenario analysis, our impact assessment, our strategizing, our business planning, our contingency planning, etc. Again, that's all enabled by technology. And then the last part is how do we turn it into workable and executable plans, and we've got a series of workflow tools which actually support that. So if somebody has a business continuity planning or has a major development, we can automate quite a lot of the workflow associated with the implementation. So that's that consulting methodology has been useful for us to develop a series of offerings for COVID-19. And on the left-hand side, you see here, we've broken it down into what does an organization need to do as an emergency? How can we support them, as we say, put out the fires? And how can we help them on the return to work? And then how can we help them re-engineer or transform their business for the new normal? And as part of that process, we have the methodology allows us to offer recalibration and optimizing the risk response for current issues. So how do we manage business continuity? How do we manage our supply chain, etc.? And then the series of 8 boxes below that, these are all technology-enabled tools, or methodologies and processes. So a very important one is understanding, the employees' feelings about working at home or their exposure to working to the public, or for one of our clients, we've got a lot of medical people, how they're feeling about how the organization is supporting them through that process. And a related service to that is understanding the mental health and stress issues associated with it and what an organization needs to do. So those two services are supported by neuroscience. So traditionally, the techniques we use to survey individuals can be quite inaccurate, because people will tell you what they think you might want, or they may not actually tell you the truth, or they may be afraid to tell you the truth, or they may not know the full facts and purporting it to be the full facts. So using neuroscience technology, we can actually get around that and understand what the real truth is. The second block of service that we can provide is to help organizations understand what's going on around the world. So what are the key economic developments, what are the key fiscal measures, what are the regulatory changes, legal changes, and so on and so forth. And the trouble is, when businesses look for information, they get a lot of rhetoric. And when you try to search in Google, because some of this information doesn't get indexed the right way, it's very hard to get, and very often it won't appear in the news. So we like to be able to provide our clients real facts based on what decision makers are really making, so businesses can use it to make informed decisions. The next one we have is helping organizations to source new markets, new suppliers, new supply chain, new customers. And we've been working with a particular partner on this for a long time. But effectively, we're leveraging the World Trade Center Association, a lot of government agencies, a lot of departments of commerce and departments of trade. So we have access to all of their information. So we're able to very quickly find out answers to questions, to make introductions to new companies or suppliers or whatever else, and through our network to execute on that. The other area that we help is we can help mobilize and organize command and control functions around the pandemic itself with our technologies. So these allow the central nerve agencies within an organization to work much more effectively. We're just about to complete an offering as well around the corporate governance implications and the board needs associated with that. We have a number of former regulators and some company chairpersons working with us on that, and that looks a very interesting thing because we're looking at areas like the implications for shareholder value, the implications for big government on corporates, a range of other issues which are actually quite important. And then the last thing that we're working with from a technology point of view is providing proximity tools to enable organizations to go back to work. So we're looking at this from a number of areas. One is the overall behavioral issues associated with demographic groups or companies or individuals. And then we're also providing an analysis of how organizations feel at an employee group levels in terms of working together or being able to adhere to these rules. And then finally, we have these control tools or sensors which employees can wear, which actually manage their proximity to other workers as well. From the other things that we've got is we're helping organizations to dramatically rethink their business and operating models through our standard consulting processes, which are very much geared towards innovation and disruption. And then we're also with our team, which includes former regulators, government ministers, CEOs, chief risk officers, chief operating officers, etc. We're using those individuals to help monitor, mentor, and support executive teams throughout the changes. As I said earlier on, we're very, working with Adam Global. Feel free that you have access to this material. We don't charge for it if you like. We just work. We're a collaborative organisation. I've experience in developing methodologies and these types of things for PricewaterhouseCoopers a number of years ago, for PA Consulting Group, and then finally for IBM. So we've built our methods and tools and technologies around some of this thinking, and we certainly are very much a network organisation which believes in the augmentation of support through technology.
Thanks, Ray, for that. That's very useful and enlightening in terms of the development work that's going on.
Thank you. I received a wonderful challenge from our chairman, Dr. Akhtar. Why don't we use this opportunity to come up with something that would help us going forward, and we'll create some offer that would be unique to the Adam family, and that would be having some additional value added. So we thought of that as the Pelting Net, which could use a branded service that we can deliver consistently across the globe and in a reasonably uniform fashion, so that we all develop and share a tool which can bring more business and more referrals ultimately to the system. What could be the objective of this exercise? Ultimately, we would want to have a branded tool that would be globally recognized as belonging to Adam and as a methodology that helps people raise value and increase their client base. So we've gotten, I think that's a very inspirational thought, and we've given it a lot of thinking in the past couple of weeks, and we've agreed on some blueprint of an approach to developing this service. Of course, part of the system now, of the network, are companies that have a very well-developed methodology, which is proprietary to them. Just Dr. Ray showed us one. So would like to use a small group of experts, people who are reasonably advanced in their own technologies and are preparing to share those technologies for us to be able to make them Adam branded and put them together as a network, agree on the unique selling proposition of that model, agree on basic concepts, processes, and flow, and work out initial manual and aids so that people across the globe could use the same approach and make it branded. In order to do that, first step, small group discussion with some key people that would be selected from amongst ourselves. And then the second step would be to confirm the model And that would mean running the model amongst yourselves, to the presidents, vice presidents, and country heads, getting some collective feedback, and then we can present and showcase this globally. In order for that to work, we'll need some operation to train consultants to make sure they all deliver it properly, and also to certify those who have passed the training. The benefit of that is that we all expect that after the crisis, a lot of people will need a lot of consultancy, and they will be running around looking for something that's confirmed, that worked elsewhere, etc. We have the chance of using the waves of the pandemic to build on the countries that are pretty much advanced along the curves and have more experience, and then already now start delivering that to those who are still having that ahead of them. This is one benefit, and the second one, of course, is brand equals value. And if we can use a branded tool and develop proper recognition for that in our own territory, that could help us build ADAM and ADAM's scope of services as a whole. So this is basically what I wanted to share and ask for your contribution and opinion. And if you would like to support that, and if you find that train of thought positive, we would be happy to work on that intensively in the next couple of weeks and come back to you shortly. 80% today is better than 100% no, never. And of course, that can take years to develop a proper model, but we have a pretty good head start with our existing companies, and I'm very optimistic we can do that very effectively, quickly, and share that to the rest of our global team.
Thank you, Igor. And I think clearly that was showing a major step ADAM Global can take to deliver for the new landscape and help to support in a number of ways. We need to really follow that through with clearly running the model on the ground.
Thank you. I think very, very positive. This is really what we were expecting, a brainstorming together. But could I just ask Laurent, as he had ran very large networks in Europe?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the word. One of the value of today that is absolutely demonstrated by ADAM Global is about leadership. And I think, we've got to hear some of our main thinkers within the network. The main challenge of networks is that networks are about networking. And networking is about meeting people, shaking 300 hands a day, giving a kiss on the cheek at the conference, sitting close to friends at dinner. And this is all canceled and postponed. So this is a big issue for professionals, because the main passion for them to do business development, which is to attend meetings, meet peers, and try to generate referrals, this is gone, so they have to find something else. And what we have found, which is rather powerful, is to go from this multilateral mass fishing into a bilateral approach, which is what we call matchmaking. And matchmaking is about doing the market intelligence to refine who we want to reach out as prospects. We need to be aware that as ADAM Global, we have two clients we're talking to. First clients are the members, and the second clients are the clients of the members or the market itself. Again, all the professionals we have on board with ADAM Global, they are the trusted advisors of their customers. And your customer is also in despair, just like you. What we have with our system that works pretty well is a deal room. And that's about generating proactively the business through the expression of interest by your client to raise capital or to sell a business. If well structured, on the deal, and if allowed by your local ethical rules, you can get a success fee on that transaction. But let's say on the investor's side, in our deal room, actually what we offer to the investor is that one, he gets an off-market deal. Two, you offer security. And Adam Global is very powerful in emerging markets. And if you are a general counsel, a conservative general counsel or investor based out of America, Europe, or some Asian countries, you prefer to deal with a regulated professional rather than a broker. And this is what our Adam Global partners are about. Three, you offer more competence, because if I am an investor and I want to buy an asset in your country, you are able to provide me with information on the fiscality, on the labor contracts, and this can prompt my decision to invest. But these are two mega trends that we've been observing for professionals during the pandemic. I hope this is helpful.
Thank you for that, Lauren. Let's make this work. It's down to us. We can do it. We will do it. You've done it so far. Let's make sure it happens now for the next phase.